Welcome to This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your local experts on all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Listen in as they discuss the current state of the market, the latest trends, and have a little fun while doing it. We do want to say the opinions voiced on this podcast are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individuals. All right, y'all, we're back. This Week in Real Estate, where we put the T in equity.
Yeah. Oh, T. Like
Yeah.
gossip?
Yeah.
T like gossip?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never heard gossip called tea before.
Oh, man, you're old.
Yeah.
You're old.
No.
Yeah. Spill the tea.
No, I've never heard that. I feel old.
So, equity.
No, I get it, but I didn't know what tea. I was like, Boston Tea Party? Like, I'm drinking coffee, but whatever.
You just ruined the joke, Mr. Harmon.
Yeah, that's the story of my life. I tell bad jokes and ruin good ones. That's what I do, ladies and gentlemen.
Good job.
Welcome,
Good job, Trent.
Welcome back, though. We took a week off last week. Do you feel refreshed?
I do.
Yeah, I
Ready to
don't.
go.
I'm rusty.
You know what else feels refreshed?
What?
Inflation. Segue.
Yes. So he's jumping ahead here, but that's all right. We are going to go into headlines here in just a minute. We had a good show last night as well. If you didn't catch it, we're going to talk about that later on today. And we've got some fun images to look at, or at least one. Can't wait for that. Is always a blast. And some other fun stuff. So Bryan is itching over here to share some marginally good news. It's at least not bad news, so that makes it good news, right?
Yeah.
So let's dive right into the headlines.
You're back.
All right. So today, all eyes have been on today for a couple of weeks because since the Fed meeting, there really wasn't much data that came out. A couple of reports here and there, but no real big market movers. And that's kind of the case for the next 2 weeks. Hence, I'm not going to have a market mover.
I got one for you, fam.
Jonathan's going to cover that for us. But to the big thing was today's inflation report. Yesterday, the producer price index came out, and it was a little higher than expectation, but there was a revision to the previous month's numbers in a lower way. So the market was kind of like, okay, cool, let's just sit on our hands and wait for tomorrow. And then so the inflation numbers came out today, and they matched expectations, which is it's exactly what we needed for a non-volatile day. And then some retail sales number kind of supported that too. So between inflation matching the expectation and retail sales also doing what it did, we are in a spot where mortgage rates seem to be improving a good little bit. There's not a lot of there's two things to watch when we're watching trading, and that's one is how much trades are happening. So it's not just the price of the bonds and that we want to watch. It's also how many people are buying or selling. And so we don't see a lot of like it's a low volume day, but the basis points are looking good. So that's a good sign for anybody that's wanting to buy a house in the near future, or maybe under contract on new construction and waiting to lock as they get a little closer to their home being completed. Today's a good day for those folks.
Good.
Yes. Probably some good news out of inflation.
I actually was listening to some news this morning as I was getting ready, and one of the news stories was talking about credit card debt, and it's like the second or third highest in recorded history. We've topped $1 trillion in credit card debt in this country, and the problem is that not only is it a high like pot of debt, but it's also at one of the higher interest rates in recorded. So it's like a double whammy. It's sort of like the housing market right now, right?
Yeah.
My favorite is people are like, well, my first house was whatever percent interest rate in the early 80s. And I'm like, yeah, but you didn't experience 110, 120, 130% inflation in housing costs immediately before that happened, But anyway, one of the things that they were talking about is those inflation numbers. And along with that report, there is some talk out of Jerome that we may actually be looking like it actually could happen that we'll have some rate drops this year still. marginal on September is what they reported.
It would be a huge relief to the families that are trying to make those credit card payments. Just some advice to anybody right now is, man, like if there's ever been a time to be frugal, it's right now as we're leading into that, because if we don't get those rate drops, and heck, even if we do, if you get a quarter or 50% or 50 basis point movement on your unsecured debt, you're still going to be at a high rate. So yeah, that would be some great relief if we're able to get that, and for people too with balances on home equity lines of credit, and a lot of people have that too. So it's not just credit card debt that's high. There's also a lot of people that have leveraged the equity in their homes, and so to bring those revolving debts down an interest rate, that would be great for a lot of folks.
That'd be huge, yeah. And I didn't really understand before I taught economics. I didn't understand when we talk about consumer debt, revolving debt. Those types of things, and then we relate that back to socioeconomic strata. When people would say that credit card debt, for example, affects lower income earners inordinately more than it does high income earners, and when you start thinking about how percentages work, basically, right? If you make this much money and you have to still buy this much stuff in order to survive, right? Yeah. Like your basic needs, and you have this much margin, very little margin in between there, and your interest rates go up on everything, then that squeezes that margin even tighter.
It does.
Well, if you make this much money, or even this much money, and you still have to buy the same exact amount of stuff just to survive, right? And you buy nothing else, and your interest rate goes up, you've still got significantly more room. Yeah. And that room equals security and comfort, not in a physical comfort, but in a psychological comfort.
And it transitions all the way to 401k contributions and more short-term savings, and just the ability to have a little bit of an emergency fund, where if you're living paycheck to paycheck, like a lot of Americans are, it's hard to feel like you're ever going to get a chance to get ahead. And when that margin compresses because rates are going up, it just leads to more credit card debt, because when the car breaks, you don't have the money to fix it. So
that's right.
You go back to the credit card, and it just spirals. And it's a tough spot to be in. So I'm hopeful that we will see those rate cuts, not just for what it might mean for the real estate industry, because what I think it's going to mean for the real estate industry is more price appreciation, but just for the folks out there who need some relief in their monthly budget to save on interest.
Well, and one other thing that I heard in that same news story that I think it's very, very, very important that folks understand, and that is that what we're talking about is slowing down inflation. We are not talking about deflation,
right?
And that is a huge difference. And so what the Fed is looking for is that instead of us inflating at a 5-6%, that we slow that rate of inflation down to a 2, 3, or even 4%.
Their target's 2. They want to be at 2%.
Exactly, which that's hard. I mean, historical average is 3.
Yeah.
So that's what they're talking about. At no point is anybody actually right now talking about deflating, where we actually see prices come down.
Yeah, so what that means is what you're paying right now for your consumer goods, for when you go to McDonald's or to P.F. Chang's or wherever you like to eat. Don't expect those prices to come down as you see these good inflation numbers.
But just don't expect them. The goal is that they just don't go up as quickly. Right. They're still going to go up probably.
Yeah, they're certainly not going to come down.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's critical. And we transition that over to the housing market. There is not a scenario right now that plays out pretty much at all, short of something truly like exponentially more catastrophic than we have faced in a very long time, where housing prices come down. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
So we're just trying to slow it down from going up as quickly. And you already said this, unfortunately, and this is what my market mover we're transitioning to. Unfortunately, we're still way ahead of that historical average, I guess you could say, of inflation. And the biggest thing, Trent, we're in market movers now.
No, actually.
No?
No. Before, you got to learn how to tee it up, man. Because we got to go to Yes, It's Real before we move on to market movers.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. We rearranged.
So like you listen to the
Hold
radio.
that thought.
Yeah, they're always going to like tease the next thing. So stay through the break. Now, in this case, it's easy to stay through the break because we're going to show you something funny. And yes, it's real.
Yes. Okay. I love this guy. Let's see. Where is it?
This guy's been doing podcasts for years, and I've been doing them for 2 months, and I'm trying to give tips.
You're not wrong though. You're accurate with that. That's a good one, Trent.
Can you believe that guy wearing that vest? And this guy like looking like he's like something special in a jacket.
A bunch of tool bags. Hey, Brian.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you name some keys that don't open doors?
Key to life.
Turkeys.
Turkeys.
Mhm.
Turkey ain't gonna open that door.
Donkeys. What is going on?
That's a loft. There's a loft up there.
Okay, so I have seen the cut down doors before.
Yeah,
And if you don't know this, those types of doors are hollow. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've broken them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're hollow, but they have like a corrugated cardboard filler in there. So when they ran their skill saw down that, they are probably looking at corrugated cardboard inside there. You know what this reminds me of?
Alice in Wonderland.
No, that's good though. Who is the guy? MC Escher.
Dude, yes.
This reminds me of MC Escher.
Yeah. I like this has got to be, I mean, it's a bonus room, right? This is probably over a garage. I wonder why they decided to build that platform there. Is there something that it would make sense is under there? That's
the staircase. Look.
Yeah, the stairs are right
up,
there.
So that wall has to be there in order for you to have the headroom for the stairs.
So many questions.
Put the stairs up, maybe to make
See?
the ladder.
There doesn't have to be anything
this
at the top of the little stairs. There doesn't have to be anything there.
The ladder, not so much. The climb, not so much.
Like, yeah.
I wonder if this is also a staircase.
I wondered that too, but I don't think that it is.
That's why the ladder's there.
We need to like this. Whoever has this listing, please update this with like a 360 tour.
Go over by that plug and take a picture that way for me.
I feel like that was like an unfinished area that they're like, we got this.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is.
Because you can see the beams and the rafters and stuff. I like they painted some of the rafters blue, but the ceiling's white, so you get a contrast of colors.
Oh, it's lovely. Two different blues going on. Yeah. So here's the fun part is people finish out spaces like this, and they're like, oh, we added square feet. Well, an appraiser is going to demolish this.
Yeah.
Because you added some square feet, but because of the way you did it, they're not going to count it. And they're not going to count it, certainly, at the same price per square foot.
Enlighten us on that. Why are they not going to count the square footage?
Well, because it's I mean, hopefully, it's not finished to the same quality as the rest of the house. So it's definitely a DIY job.
I don't know. That carpet looks like it continues.
Yes, poorly, because it's not stretched.
There's baseboards.
Yeah, it's still not to the same quality. The other thing is, I'm going to guess that knee wall is too low. So you're probably wherever that black spot is on the carpet, somewhere right in there.
Which I was going to get to that.
What
that
is
little
that?
guy?
That's a great question.
It kind of looks like a dog turd, maybe.
I wouldn't worry about that.
So they would draw an imaginary line up to the roof line.
Yeah,
and
that's all those
everything
square footages.
behind it doesn't count.
They're only going to for all you who just heard this, when you have a bonus room, you're going to get those knee walls, and really it comes up from there. That's your square footage. You don't get to go wall to floor
Correct.
on the wall. It's where those knee walls hit a certain height.
And it depends on who you ask. I've heard everything from 4 feet in height to 6'8".
Well, FHA has the requirement now for ceilings where it's
6'8".
6'8". So yeah.
So
that shows up a lot in older homes because people didn't used to be so tall.
Well, here's the fun fact. I have a rental house that has an attic Airbnb, and the entire thing is not 6'8".
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I put in my Airbnb listing that if you are 6'4", do not rent this place.
Yeah,
You will
that's
not
hilarious.
be.
You will
not be
hit your head.
comfortable. Yeah.
It's really funny.
Great picture, Trent.
This is real. Good job, Missy.
Love it.
I can got some crazy pictures.
I do actually want to tour this place.
Where is this?
I have no idea.
It's like a jungle gym. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me
The,
wonder.
the City Museum in St. Louis.
I'm not going to Indiana for that. Love you, mean it, but nah. Okay, now is it time for market movers?
It's the cliffhanger's over.
Have we played the?
It's right here.
All right, Trent, point to us when we're ready.
Okay. You're back. You're
And my
back.
computer went.
For those of you who stayed in through the break, and the break being a discussion of a Yes, It's Real crazy real estate image, Jonathan had left us with a fantastic little tease, and
Yes.
he's going to get to that.
And so here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Seasonality of the housing market is back. And I say that because for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, the seasonality, it was there, but it was not defined. Okay. And so here's what I mean by that. If your house appreciates 5% in a calendar year, January to December, okay, it is not, let's make the math easy. If it appreciates 12% in a calendar year, it does not appreciate 1% every single month, right? January, it might appreciate 0.3%. And then February, it might appreciate 0.2%, right? And then depending on the season and depending on the year, March, April, somewhere right in there, you see prices start to accelerate.
Yep.
And so let's say April, you might appreciate 3%. May, you might appreciate 6 or 7%. And then June, appreciate a little more. And then July and August, you may actually see a month-over-month retraction.
Yeah.
And so we actually lose a little value, but we've gained so much that we pull back a little bit. And then by the end of the year, we're sitting at a net gain. It's just like the stock market or anything else. We're sitting at a net gain of 12%.
Right. It's not linear.
It is definitely not linear. It's not even. And so historically, what this means is that sellers, they're aware of this, even if it's just subconsciously. And so they'll list their house. And a lot of times, it chicken or egg, I'm not sure which, right? It kind of follows the school year.
Yeah.
So we see the most activity as school is getting ready to let out. People want to make the move early summer, be settled in during the summer. And then in August, man, they
start the new schools.
They start the new school. And August historically is the slowest month in real estate,
Yeah.
at least in our area. I don't know if that's everywhere, but it's definitely the case here. Even slower than January and February, which you think winter people don't want to move. It's way slower in August.
Some of my best months have been December's, and I think the reason of that is because
There's a break.
There's a break. So if we go ahead and we buy a house in December, we've got 2 weeks around the holidays to
We can move
and start the new semester.
That's
at,
right.
At the new schools.
Happens all the time. There's a little bump in my activity, which makes sense for you, right?
Yeah.
Mid-November or so. Thanksgiving weekend is typically pretty busy for me.
Yeah.
And then, December we're closing stuff, and January people are settled and they're ready to go. So anyway, that has not been the case for the last few years because basically people have just bought whenever they could.
Right.
And we didn't see that trend as much. Well, it is back with a vengeance now.
I think it came back some last year, and I bet this year it's really showing up.
It is absolutely, and we've seen a couple months of retraction early. January we've seen some, and then our April numbers. So as we start looking, I don't have a month over month, but I have a plotting here, and so what we see is we actually saw a little pullback in March of this year on the growth. Again, that's the key here, right? And we actually did see just a little bit of price drop from February to March, but then March to April, it went bonkers. We went up about 9%, almost 9%.
Wow.
In 1 month as far as your average sales price.
So when you say average sales price, what that means is that that there's houses at a higher price point that are selling. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody went up at that same point. It just means that there's more expensive houses that are moving.
Yes, but no at the same time, because the number of houses didn't necessarily go up very much. The activity levels, the number of units didn't go up a lot. It certainly didn't go up 9%. So that means that literally everything had to have slid up just a little or a lot in some cases.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
That's
So
wild.
moral of the story is,
Guess what else happened around that time?
rates dropped.
Interest rates started to come down a little bit. So
Just
what
a
have we
little.
been telling people for a year now?
Don't freaking wait.
Because when rates come down, what's going to happen?
Yep, and we're seeing it. It's happening
In real time.
In real time, right now, as we're talking, right?
Yeah.
So and you gave us some good news, which means that guess what, the market's going to react,
Right.
And everybody that sits in your seat is going to be saying it's time to lock. You better let's get it going.
Well, and who really stands to who really has benefited the most because of higher interest rates, I believe, is first-time home buyers, because THDA came back. You know, the down payment assistance programs, those things, those clients had a chance of going under contract.
Yep.
And what might happen if we go back into a hot market where it's truly a seller's market is that there'll be so many people who qualify for conventional terms or don't need the down payment assistance trying to buy houses that those programs might start to suffer again. And if you're not buying now, you better be saving.
Hey, I've been in 2 multiple offers in the last 10 days.
Absolutely. Does not surprise me.
I did.
I hear that a lot.
I think I was in 2 all of last year.
Yeah. So it's. I think and another thing that's happening too at the same time is that I think the market's kind of saying, okay, this is where interest rates are.
Yep.
There's not going to be some glorious return to the low 5s. We're going to.
Not
We've been here
anytime
for
soon.
a while, and we're probably going to be here for a while. So if this is the world that we're living in, and we want to have a bigger house because we have more children now, or we want to move to our retirement home, whatever city that's going to be, people
do
buy
it.
and sell houses for those kinds of reasons. I think from 2020 through like 2022 and early part of 23, people were moving just to get another house, just because they wanted to buy a house that had a pool, because they wanted to get into a different school zone, because they wanted to do different things.
They didn't like the color of the brick. They didn't like their neighbor.
Maybe it was keeping up with the Joneses. We want to just have a bigger house because we want to.
Because we can. Yeah.
And with that comes more luxury. We got a theater room. We got a this. We got a that. Nobody's moving for those reasons now. People are choosing to go private school route rather than moving to a better public school system district.
For sure.
So you're not seeing that. And I don't think that's going to come back. I think, but what will happen is that those people who need to make a move are going to be more willing to do so than those. And right now, for the last year and a half, they've just kind of been like, we can live with this for a little longer.
Yep. And we're seeing the same thing on pricing. There's just been a lot of hesitation, and that's what's really defined our market more than anything else. Rates are a little higher than we're comfortable with. Prices are higher. So, what if we just kind of stay put for a minute and let's see what happens? See if those prices come down. See if the rates come down.
Yep.
And they haven't. So, which we've been telling you that, but at the same time, sometimes we got to see it too.
You got to see it to believe it, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go. Some shiny penny.
Back to you.
All right, so this shiny penny is not real estate related. It's really just there's a Instagram account that I've stumbled on that I think is awesome. It's called Make the Hood Smile, and it's this guy, and he's got it's the silliest thing because he comes screeching in on a motorcycle,
A little bitty motorcycle.
tiny, 50 cc is kind of like
Itty
tiny
bitty
bike.
little motorcycle.
and he's in New York City.
And he's not a small dude.
And he's got a microwave on his head. And so he wheels in, opens up the microwave, drops some profound knowledge, slams the microwave shut.
Without his hands,
Without his
by the way.
hands. Just yanks his neck, slams the microwave shut, and scurries off.
And how does he end every single one of those?
With some words that I'm not going to say on a video. But he's making sure that you heard the message.
Yeah.
Don't forget it either. So check out Make the Hood Smile. And one of the ones that I've seen it before, and I saw it again this morning, and I was like, man, it's a good shiny penny because it's something that I think we could probably all benefit from hearing this. And that's when you compare yourself to other people, the only thing that's going to lead to is being prideful or being depressed. So when you compare yourself to other people's social media or real life or whatever it is, when you compare yourself to others, you're only going to lead to pride or depression.
So true.
And so don't worry about other people. Just worry about what you can do today to make yourself a little bit better than you were yesterday. So that continual daily improvement. What can you do today to make yourself a little better?
Man, I got to tell you a story. I came to I can't put it in those concise of words, but I came to that life conclusion when I was about 22.
Yeah.
And So here I am. I come out of high school. I get a full ride scholarship for academics to MTSU. I was super smart, but man, I was dumb. And I went to school for 4 years for free and didn't finish a degree. So I'm like, oh crap, here I am at the end of my full ride and now I got to start paying and I'm not even close to a degree yet.
Yeah.
So it took me 2 more years, including the summers. And I finally got done. And in that time, I'm looking around and all these people that I went to high school with that book wise, grade wise, I was smarter than them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what the heck? You're dumb and I'm smart and you're getting a like real job and starting a career and all of these things. And here I am still in school. And man, it felt bad.
Yeah.
It felt really bad. And I had a little bout with depression during that time. And I finally got to the conclusion that it really isn't a race and we all have the way that we go. And as I reflect back on that now, like that was a great time for me. Like I got to do a cool internship. Things fell into place. It took me a little bit longer. I've got a fun self-deprecating story now to tell. I got to deliver pizzas. I mean, I got to do all kinds of stuff, work in a warehouse that I now have these experiences that it makes it easier for me to relate to even more people than I already can.
Yeah.
And that race, even though mine took some detours, you know, and did this instead of a straight line, it's what makes me me.
It is.
And so don't compare yourself. Don't think that you're behind.
Yeah.
That was my thing. Oh, I'm so far behind. Everybody else is, you know, and you're not behind. You're just on a different path.
You're just on your path. And I think that's the most important. Once you get to that part where you realize that, because I'll catch myself doing it. Like I will tell you right now, I still do this. And I needed that reminder to stop. Like, hey, seriously, what did you do yesterday? What are you gonna do today to make yourself a little better?
That's it.
If there's anybody you're gonna compare yourself to, it's the past version of yourself.
Yesterday.
And where
That's
you
right.
want to go. Now, don't beat yourself up over that, you know, because hey, some days you're gonna have a bad day. And maybe yesterday you weren't as good as you were 2 days before. But the objective here is to keep moving forward.
I love it. It's good stuff, man. All right. Pro tip.
Back to you.
My pro tip is, I alluded to this at the very beginning of the broadcast, is go and check out the broadcast that we did last night about home maintenance. And here's the thing. It really goes back to what we were just talking about with the shiny penny, and that is that you might have owned a house now for 20, even 30 or 40 years, and there is still stuff that I promise you don't know. And when faced with that, oftentimes I feel like an idiot for having to ask this question, whatever this question happens to be. Well, here's the thing. We hit that head on, and we talked about some stuff that some very simple things that will help you protect your biggest asset, which is your home. And we hopefully addressed a lot of things that people don't do. And the guys that were sitting on the table with me, they know you don't do it because they're the ones that come in and fix it. Okay. Yeah. And they're the simplest things that people don't do. And so rather than feel dumb about it, go watch the video, call those guys, call me, whatever, get the brochure. Missy put together a really awesome brochure checklist type thing. It's also online on our QR code. So if you need that QR code, let me know and we'll send that out to you. But go check it out and learn a little bit, plan a little bit on how you're going to protect your biggest asset a little bit better.
I've got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
We've owned our home for 11 years, and I think a lot of times we think the only time you need a home inspection is when you're selling your house, so you can maybe find out what you need to fix.
Sure.
But hey, man, we've owned our house for 11 years. We have no intentions of moving or selling the house anytime soon. Should we get a home inspection to find out something that maybe we don't know that's going on in our home that could be prevented?
It's not a bad idea. And so here's my question to you. When was the last time you were in your crawl space?
Last year.
Oh, well,
yeah.
That's better than most.
Yeah.
Right? Most, it's like, what's a crawl space?
I don't go there.
Yeah.
There's spiders.
Aren't there snakes in there and spiders? Yeah. No, it's not a bad idea. And Jim Edwards is my guy. I don't mind throwing him out there. He is awesome. He's thorough. He's not an alarmist. He is here's what's going on. Very objective kind of guy. We had a home maintenance guy on here, a handyman type fella, and he Mike
Donovan.
I couldn't think of his last name in the moment there. So Jim can come in and find everything and get you a list. You can take that list and hand it to Mike. Inevitably, there's going to be something about pests on there,
Yeah.
so you can hand that to the other Jim. So we had Jim, and Mike, and all of a sudden in a week, your house is tip-top condition. I mean, you tune up your car,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So why would you not tune up the place that you live?
Yeah. I think that's great. Great pro tip.
That's all I got. Let's close this out, Trent. You got anything else going on?
Just more of the same. Pushing the 1200 Club. Do want to thank Phillip Byard for his continued support. He had some stuff come up, but he was supposed to be on the thing last night. Hoping to get him in here sooner than later. Music City Hardscapes and Music City Pawn Pros. Be sure to check him out there. And yeah, that's pretty much all we got.
I'm gonna throw one thing out there. We're starting to push, and man, it's gonna be awesome if you have a business. We got room for one more big sponsor for the International Folk Fest that's happening here at Cedar Glade Brews. It's less than a month away, June the 7th. It's going to be a party, man, and it's going to be fun. And bring the kids. They're going to get to see stuff that they don't get to see otherwise. We've got dance and music troops from England, Mexico, and Czech Republic that are going to be here.
And the Cripple Creek Cloggers.
I was getting there. So our very own Cripple Creek Cloggers. So you've got 3 international troops, 1 folk troop from right here in Murfreesboro. And they're going to be dancing and singing and playing music. We've got a beer made. Actually, right now, Robert is making the ESB for the English group today, as we sit here right now.
I know some people very happy about that.
I am very happy about that. The Czech Pilsner is already almost done, and so is the dark Mexican lager. Which we're pretty excited about. I've got the labels finished. I'm fixing to order them. It's gonna be awesome. So you should definitely make plans to be here June 7th. It starts at 5:00. It'll go until 7:30, somewhere around there. We'll have 3 food trucks. Van Gogh luxury portable toilets is bringing their toilet trailer. Shout out to them for donating that for the event. And then our friend Emerson Williams, State Farm, out of Smyrna. Emerson, if y'all haven't met, we need to have Emerson on here.
He should definitely be on.
Put that down. So Emerson is just an awesome dude, and the way that he's built his office is incredible. He's a sponsor for that event, and anyway, so we're very thankful for them. We need one more really good one, good sponsor to make that work. It's gonna be a blast, man. It's gonna be a party.
Can't wait.
So. That's it. That's my big announcement.
I love it. Well, on that one, we're outie.
Don't forget
I got it. Disclaimer.
Yeah, they said $1 trillion.
Thank you for listening to another episode of This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your go-to resource for all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Be sure to like, share, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. We will see y'all on the next one.
Now for the nitty-gritty. Primis Mortgage Company is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC. Primis Mortgage NMLS number 1894879, BK number 1042893, ML number 1894879. As always, all loans are subject to credit approval and product guidelines. Equal housing lender.